Hello everyone, Rose here. Tonight I'm reacting to Foodie Beauty's community post where Foodie Beauty insults Monty while he is in the grieving process for grieving for his now deceased mother. So, Foodie Beauty took it upon herself to address Monty and the fact that his mother has recently passed away during one of her live streams and also in her community post. And her reaction was not nice, to say the least. In fact, she was rather insulting. For those who do not know who Monty is part of the reaction community. He has two channels on YouTube, Stories from the Internet and Monty After Dark, both excellent channels. Monty gives excellent commentary to Foodie Beauty and to Natter, and he often has very enlightening and entertaining panels and invites people on to give their thoughts and opinions on everything Foodie Beauty. Unfortunately, on the 4th of July, Monty lost his mother. She's no longer with us, and so Monty has the task of grieving his deceased mother, at the same time maintaining his channel. Something that I'm sure is very hard to do. When you're someone, you lose a loved one, but you have something on YouTube and you got to keep up with it, trying to do both. So I'd like to show all of you what I have found online of Miss Foodie and show you exactly how she's handling the news about Monty and his mother, who's no longer here. Let's start over here. This is something that I found on Twitter. So during her live stream today, she offered up a sort of prayer for Monty. But as you can see from this clip, she didn't sound too sincere when she was doing the prayer. In fact, she was laughing and treating the whole thing like a joke. And she's someone that she claims that she is an empath. Well, we all know that she's not. And in situations like this, that proves she's definitely not. So let me just play the clip for you, courtesy of Happy.
So, Lord, angels, righteous mother.
See, she's laughing. How can you sit there and laugh about something like that? I know that Monty's mother is not her mother. It's not someone that she's related to, but we are all people. And all of us, we experience death at some time or another. And even if there's a complete stranger on the street, they say, well, somebody that I knew or I was related to just passed, you're going to feel a sense of empathy and sadness for them. And you're going to say, well, I'm very sorry for your loss. And let me offer up my condolences. And I hope that you get some healing somewhere at some time. We all feel empathetic towards each other if we suffer the loss of a loved one. But Foodie's not really showing that she's being empathetic or understanding of this difficult time for Monty. She thinks it's a joke. It's completely funny to her.
Prayer. All right. Righteous Mother in the heavens above. We are praying. We are praying today for everyone who is hurting, for everyone to have a wonderful, and more importantly, please keep your child, Monty Cruz, in our hearts, and his mother, who has recently turned to join you in the heavens above. Please keep her safe.
So that was the clip that I wanted to show all of you. Clip relating to Monty, of her doing this prayer for him in her life. And as you can see, she did not handle it as well as she could. She could have done a simple community post expressing condolences in a very sincere way, but she didn't do it. But you know what's interesting? Do you know who stepped forward and offered condolences in a very respectful way? Natter. Of all people, Natter El Shami. So here is the post on his community post that Natter put up, saying, even though Monty and I may disagree on certain things, it will not stop me from knowing that we are all human and I understand what he was going through at this moment. My heartfelt condolences go out to Monty and his family during this difficult time. Prayers to you and your family. And he had a large picture of a burning candle. I think that was a very respectful, sincere thing to do. Do I think that Dee Dee wrote up the post? Yes, I do. I think she wrote everything for Natter, but I'm sure she cannot post anything on his community post without his go-ahead. So even if she wrote the post, Natter probably told her what to say, and she wrote it for him. And that was a very classy way to handle the situation, unlike Miss Foodie. So this is what she did on top of that live stream today. She put a community post putting down Monty, saying, okay, so some people, ahem, reaction channels, were criticizing me for not grieving properly when my Grams passed. But yet Monty's mother just passed, and he's hosting a panel of nut jobs obsessing over my poor life choices? Okay. So here's Foodie, this person, Foodie Beauty. When her grandmother passed, she was yelling and screaming at everybody about, I'm processing her death. And everybody has the right to process it in whatever way they have to, whatever way is appropriate. But yet she's judging another person for processing the death of a loved one. There are a lot of differences between Foodie's situation with her grandmother and Monty's situation with his mother. So Foodie had her grandmother, and let's be honest, Chantal did not care about her grandmother. She really didn't. She didn't make a point to visit her grandmother as much as she could before the passing. When she did finally visit her, after spending an immense amount of time with Natter, she made sure to take a picture of her grandmother in her hospice bed, a picture that really should have been kept private, for private memories. She made sure to post that on social media, which in my opinion was quite tacky, very, very tacky, very disrespectful against her grandmother. And when she went to go see her grandmother on the day of her passing, when her grandmother did pass away, she was talking about OnlyFans. Versus Monty, who is very close to his mother, loved his mother very, very much, was around her as much as possible, did everything he could for his mother. Big difference in attitude there. Foodie didn't care about her grandmother, used her grandmother for sympathy super chats and for attention. Monty actually loved his mother very, very much. And as far as him doing a panel so close to her death, I would like to say this. I remember the year that I lost my sister and my father within a few months of each other. My father passed away from a brain aneurysm, my sister from an overdose. In the case of both their deaths, when I got the news, because I'm far away from them, sometimes you can go into spiritual shock. The shock, it may last for a few hours, it may last for a day, it may last for a few days. But initially, when you hear about somebody passing, you go into shock. You don't really, it's not hit you yet that they're gone. And it may take a while to really register that all the way through you. That might be Monty's case, that, the death of his mother, who is very, very close to him. There are different stages of grieving. One of them could be just spiritual shock. Like you hear about the death, but it's not quite all the way registered that it's actually happened. It may take a while to really filter in. So his mother passed away on the 4th of July, and So he's got to process the grief at the same time to maintain his channel, because he can't take a week or 2 weeks away. He's got to keep going with it. And I'm sure that in the coming days and weeks, it's going to be very difficult, because the grief and the work, they're going to conflict with each other. And my heart goes out to Monty for having to go through the death of his mother and to have to deal with all that. But Chantal is passing judgment on somebody for the death of their mom and how they're dealing with it. As you can imagine, the responses to that post were not nice, nor should they have been. So here's some of the responses to that post. Ha-Az says, not only did you not grieve, like, at all, but you prevented your family from grieving in serenity and with privacy. That is unforgivable in my book. And ever since you put your family through that particular ordeal, I keep wondering how they can still stand to be associated with you or even look at you. Yeah, she wasn't very nice to her family. When her grandmother passed away, Chantal should have been spending time with her mother and assisting her through her grief. Going to her house and saying, hey, Mom, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Do you need me to do anything? Just helping your mother in her grief by giving her comfort and assistance in whatever way she could as her daughter. She didn't do that. She did not do that. But she thinks she can compare her situation with her grandmother to Monty, when they are two entirely different people and they both have two entirely different attitudes. Chantal didn't care about her grandmother, but Monty very much does care about his mom. Ella says, I think most people can agree that grief is weird and not linear. I just think choosing your imaginary boyfriend over spending time with your grandmother during her last days, making promises we all know you'd never keep on her memory, choosing to leave sentimental items such as the blanket at the trap and other examples is odd, to say the least. I don't watch Monty anymore, but if he's displaying similar behaviors, I hope his community is being vocal about it too. Well, Monty's well loved in the reaction community. He's, like I said, he's got a channel, and he can't take weeks away from his work. He's got to push through it, and perhaps by working on the channel, that might help him process the grief better. But he might be going through the initial stages of just shock of losing his mom. Everybody processes grief differently. Some take longer than others. It all depends on the person. But depending on no matter how the grief process works per person, how long it takes or how short it is, the point is that person has lost somebody dear to them. They're going through a lot of sadness, a sense of loss, and that period of grief should be respected. It should be respected. KK says, yes, deflecting from your own actions to point out somebody else's bad actions, moot point. Monty doing a panel after the death of his mother is not a bad action. It's just something that he did. He was just doing his regular content on his channel. Maybe doing the panel, pushing it out of his mind for a minute, maybe that helped him to control the grief. I'm not sure. But he is a person, he's going through a grieving, and again, that should be respected about how the person handles it. Christina says, Chantal, whatever Monty is or isn't doing does not excuse your own actions. I'm sick of people using everyone's griefs differently excuse. It may be true, but it's commonly used to cover up people just being selfish and not caring. I experienced this with cousins and my grandma. They never visited. They scheduled a cottage getaway while she was on her deathbed. Never came to sit by her the day she passed at home, despite living mere minutes away. We all have to face it that some people are just crappy, and I refuse to give them credit by saying they grieve differently. Bull. People really don't need any more evidence of the fact that the only person you care about is yourself, and you love a boy that can't stand you. Keep treating people like garbage, Chantal, and also keep wondering why you have no loyal people left in your life. Well, I don't have to wonder why she doesn't have loyal people in her life, because she herself has no sense of loyalty, not even to her own family, not even in times of grief when she could be there, but she chooses not to be. She makes a choice to not be around. Sue Smith says, would you feel better about how he grieves if he ate a nashi while on panel? That seemed to assuage your grief right away. Maybe she wouldn't be so critical of Monty if he did eat a nashi, but he's not going to eat a nashi. He's not going to process his grief in that fashion. Juliet R. says he's trying to distract himself. You are high on stream, laughing and gorging on food. You are evil to the core, Chantal. Well, like I said, the doing of the panels, keeping up with YouTube, that might be a way to distract away from the pain he's in on the inside. We all handle things differently, but he's still hurting. I'm sure he's hurting very much. He can't take weeks away from YouTube. So he's just doing what he needs to do to get things done and to keep it pushing. Chantal Stalker says, I bet Monty didn't miss out on 99.9% of his mother's last days, knowing she was passing soon, the way you did with Graham. So I'm sure he didn't. He said, I just watched his video where he said that he spent so much time with his mother. And I believe him. I believe he loved his mother very much. It's a completely different attitude than what Chantal has with her family. Natalie Simon says, when your ex shows more empathy than you, the self-proclaimed empath. Yeah, Nader never said he was an empath. Chantal has proclaimed herself one. But in this situation where empathy is appreciated and appropriate, she's not showing any. She absolutely isn't. Ashley Sharp says, pretty sad Nader has more empathy and can put his beef aside with someone who is grieving loss than you. You just keep digging your hole, Chantal. Love that for you. Yeah, it is. It's pretty weird. It's pretty sad that Nader, of all people, is handling things in a much more classy way than Chantal. He gave the classy approach. And Chantal is so immature and so evil that she couldn't even bother to handle things properly. Queen of Ice says 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. Without knowing where he is in the stages he's at, leave it alone. When you hit that denial stage, you will try and distract yourself any way possible because you struggle to come to terms that your loved one is gone. I've known people who still work because they had to distract themselves from all the emotions and thoughts plaguing them, right? You get to a point where you hurt so much that you just have to distract yourself before you lose your mind. So he's just maybe using work to distract himself. Patrick H1 says, doesn't change the fact that you only use your grieving when it was convenient for you to get sympathy. Using the death of her grandmother to make super chats and get pity super chats from people. If she really cared about her grandmother, why wasn't she there when she could be there? Patricia Byrne says, what a vile person you are, Foodie Beauty. Monty, the community in large, is sending positive thoughts and prayers. My condolences on your loss. Yes, that she is vile. Foodie is vile for doing what she did to Monty. Vile is the only word I can come up with, but I'm sure there's better words. But for now, that's the word that fits. Kurt Wagner says, the next time you even think about telling your audience about what a kind, caring person you are, don't. Yeah, don't even bother, Foodie. Don't bother telling your audience you're an empath. Clearly, you're not one. And this situation right now proves that you're not an empath. Egg White says, I'm no fan of the semen demon, but Monty, from my knowledge, didn't talk about his mom much. You, however, mentioned your Grams a lot for pity bucks and then went on to choose Natter over her. Over and over and over again. You have to live with that. That's your penance. See, the thing is, Foodie lives her life without remorse or regret. She never regrets or has remorse about anything she does or anything she says. You know, she blocks it all out. Terrylynn says, "Are you kidding me? You left your grandma to be with Natter. Monty has been by his mother's side and hosted a panel in order to be distracted for a couple of hours. Pick your battles, Miss Queen Empath." Yeah, again, using work to distract yourself. Because maybe if he wasn't doing a panel, he'd just be sitting in his house thinking about it, and it might hurt him worse. So nobody can come down on Monty for just doing what he needs to do to A, get things done, and B, just to try to negate the pain a little bit. And I'm sure it's tremendous right now. Wendy's Whoopie Pie says, "Monty did the panel from his home. You were in the trap house spreading STDs and doing drugs. No comparison." Yeah, she can't compare her situation with the Grams to Monty. Not at all. Nicole Dalton says, "So when you are confused why everyone hates you, this post is a perfect example of why. Monty doesn't use his mother as a deflection for his actions. Your behavior is so foul. Seriously, what kind of idiot would think this would be appropriate to say when a loved one has passed away? There really is no hope for you at this point at your age. Wake up. Just because you didn't show remorse until people told you to doesn't mean Monty is doing the same. He was there for his mom daily. Never try to compare your actions to his." Ash says, "You left your grandma's blanket at Natter's, and it's kind of low to mention Monty's mother's passing. For someone who claims to be an empath, you really aren't showing much of it. You only care about yourself and whatever man you are obsessing about at the time. You have no shame." Well, that's a constant in Foodie's life, isn't it? Living a life with no shame, no remorse, no regret, no self-control, nothing. And this is what happens when you live life like that. You're free to do whatever foul thing you want, and you won't feel the least bit embarrassed about it. Fibronauty fan says, "Oh wait, I'm supposed to pray when someone dies, right? Narcissists have to mimic the empathic behavior of others when needing to appear sad because they are incapable of authentically feeling those emotions themselves." Yeah, you guys saw the clip of her praying for Monty. Did she look the least bit sad? Did she look sad to you? She didn't look sad to me. She thought it was a big joke. She was laughing. She was laughing like it was just some big prank. It's not a prank, Foodie. Somebody actually lost their mother, somebody that they cared about very much. And shame on you for laughing at that. Vola says, "At the risk of being blocked, I just want to say, Monty, I'm very sorry for your loss." Well, you know what, Vola? If Foodie blocks you for expressing condolences over the loss of somebody losing their mom, I think that would be a very shitty reason to block somebody. Somebody just being human and decent and expressing condolences. I think that would be a very crappy reason to block members, but I wouldn't put it past Foodie that she would do that. "Oh, you're expressing condolences for Monty? You're blocked." That's just right up her alley. Moonlit Honey says, "You avoided your grandma for Snow and Nosferatu." Yes, you did. Couldn't make time for grandma, not even twice a month. She only ran over to grandma's room to get a picture of her to post on social media. And then after her grandmother passed, she exploited her death for super chats. You know, that just shows how much she cared about grandma. Lisa Elliott says, "LOL, Natter shows empathy and compassion, yet our empathic queen goes on a rage. Love this for you, Chantal, you freaking narc." These are people on your channel saying this to you, Foodie. They're not all trolls. They're people in your own chat. They might even be VIPs. And they're disgusted with you, as they should be. Expressing disgust because you're a person and you claim to be empathic, and yet you don't even have enough feeling. to show true feeling over someone in the community that you're part of losing their loved one, your reaction just proves you have no emotion. You have absolutely none, to the point where you get a fake emotion. And even then, it's just a funny joke to you. lolofc says, holy crap, why did you delete my comment? Did I strike a nerve yet again? I told you once, and I will tell you again, that Monty is a private person. He is grieving horribly, but he's choosing to work and be professional, and he has done a damn good job of it. I agree, he has. You, however, claim to be yourself at all times, and you showed it by being yourself that you did not give two shits about your grandmother's passing for more than maybe 60 seconds. I agree with that comment entirely. Jade says you're trying to shade Monty by dismissing his mother's death and insinuating that he doesn't care. Until you have lost your mother, you can never understand or know what it feels like, Chantal. Yes, grief is a strange thing, and everyone reacts and processes it differently, but a little bit of human kindness and empathy would not go amiss. No, it wouldn't. Kindness and empathy cost nothing and are priceless in value. Just being a decent person and showing that you're decent, it can go a long way. It can show that there are parts of Foodie that are actually human, but she's incapable of that. Let's see, next comment. Hatrick81 says, oh, I have just heard you mention Natter's post about Monty's mom and expressing his condolences on your current life. That's why you're big mad. Goes against your narc narrative. Stop taking out your anger towards Natter on other people. Yeah, that's a habit that she's got. If she's mad at Natter, she won't go to him and tell him. She doesn't dare. But she'll lash out at other people, reaction channels, her viewers, the VIBs, everybody but Natter. Because she's scared of losing Natter, but she's not scared of being abusive to other people. Annlebert says, it takes a special kind of person to take someone's pain and suffering and make it about themselves. You couldn't even be bothered enough to get vaccinated to see your grandma while she was dying as the months went by. And another thing, what about being there for your mom afterwards? I've seen some real pieces of work and known a lot of creeps, but you take the cake, you get the award. Yep, she had all that time and opportunity to spend time with grandma and also with mom after her grandmother passed. She didn't do it. She was too busy chasing Natter. All she cared about was Natter. Chelsea says, not gonna lie, you were so out of order going off on Monty at this time. Regardless of everything and all the drama between you two, it wasn't the time or place to make it harder on him. Rest in peace to his mother. Perry Plug says, you used your grandma for pity money to snort and eat up. You have absolutely no right to judge how another person actually grieves. Nope, she really doesn't. Let's see. Flora says exactly this. If you can come on here acting like a downright mad woman when you're processing your relationship with Natter, you leave Monty the F alone and let him process on here if he needs to. You can't get through daily life without your hug box. Leave that man alone. If he needs his when his mother died, you did your grams dirty. Dirty. So how about just sit this one out? Nobody ever taught you that, for fuck's sake. People are mad at Chantal in the post because, you know, just going after somebody while they've lost a loved one, it's dirty. It's very, very dirty. Bad Seed says, people grieve differently. You dealt with your grandma by distracting yourself, and that is the same thing he might be doing. Very true. AJ says, I thought you were praying for him. Now you're criticizing him? What does Chantal say? Chantal says, I am praying for him, just pointing out the hypocrisy as always. Imagine that, the biggest hypocrite on YouTube pointing out hypocrisy. Yeah, she actually said that. But yeah, she got on her live and she prayed for Monty, and then she's going to turn around and do this community post. Chantal, you're trash. Trash. Absolute trash. Nick Star says, at Chantal, so you do watch Hater Nation? Of course she does. She's everywhere on YouTube. She's a narcissist. She wants to know what everybody's saying about her. She can't keep her nose in her own business. Jamie Reynolds says, just be quiet, Chantal. Pity's Rock Pondu says, just when I think you can't go any lower, you do. I am ashamed for you. I think a lot of people are ashamed of her. Ready, Set, We says, how would your Grams feel about what you said? I don't think she'd be very happy with her, but then again, I don't think Chantal would care about how her grandmother feels. Rachel Burke says, yeah, we remember about your grandma being sick. You spent a lot of time bedside with the Tinder hookups, the trap house, choosing debauchery over empathy for her. Your mom and uncle's mom was dying, and you still insisted on screaming, look at me. Yep. Wendy Miller says, at this point, calling you a piece of crap would be utterly insulting to actual crap. Sounds about right. AJ says, there is something very wrong with you that you can take someone's loss of a mother and make it all about you just to prove a point. You are despicable. Please get help. Erica Lynn says, not as now is not the time, Chantal. 316 says, quit twisting the narrative. You started laughing when you were giving your condolences and then smiled the rest of the time. What's so funny about someone's mother passing away? As for your Grams, you didn't give two craps about her. You couldn't even be there for your family. Instead, you wound up raging about Natter. There's no coming back from this. Lilu Witchy Poo says, yeah, nice try, but a swing and a miss again. Yeah, I thought maybe she thought she was doing something by being insulting to Monty with this post, and it backfired. Absolutely backfired. People are not looking at her in a positive way right now. They're like, really? You're going to do this now when Monty is grieving? How dare you? And I agree. How dare you, Chantal? How dare you? Erie T said, this is inappropriate. It is not comparable at all. You owe Monty a big apology. I can't believe you have made this all about you. Empath my ass. People are mad in the post. People are real mad. Fired Up says, girl, not the time. 222 says, girl, step back. Skippy says, sometimes it is better not to say anything. Okay. Lily Vaughn says, Natter 1, Chantal 0. Yeah, as far as responses, a point for Natter, no points for Chantal. In fact, -0 for Chantal. Everybody talking about her being an empath. And there's Gary Unfiltered. Hey, Gary. Gary says, damn, Foodie, really? What the fuck? That's what I'm thinking, Gary. Seriously? She's going to say this to Monty now? Seriously, like right now? Can't wait? Can't wait till later? Fiona Sutherland says, low blow. Yeah, very low blow. So I want to cover this community post before Chantal gets rid of it. I'm sure she will because it's not in her favor. So I'm covering it now before it's gone. So in closing, I would like to say to Monty, I'm very sorry for your loss. I know what it's like to lose a loved one. I lost 2 in 1 year. And I remember the sadness that I went through, losing my dad and my sister in a very short time frame. The period of shock that happened with each death and the grieving that happened afterwards. And if you're having to work through the grief, if you're distracting yourself, I understand. I really understand. I get it. But I'm sending light and healing and comfort and love to you, sir, to you and your family this difficult time. And I hope that in time healing does happen and you can be happy. But just know that you are a fine gentleman. And even though I never knew your mother, I'm sure she was a fine woman because she had to be. She raised you up and you turned into a fine person. You are a shining example of all her teachings and all of her love. That's to be commended. So I hope that healing and light and love come your way. And you find healing where you need to find it. So that's it for this React video. Hope everybody's enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.